So by the show of hands, how many here are active in a social media? Please be honest. Look around, the vast majority of you is part of a social media. So now, here today I'm here to speak to you about my main proposition, which is social media is detrimental for the user's health. I'm going to explain this point through three main secondary claims. My first secondary claims consist of the constant uses of social media can become an addiction that is detrimental to the individual's health. This means, like any addiction, they all follow the same protocol. Addictions come from a hormone that is released in your body called dopamine. According to Imran Siddiqui, an author of the article Dopamine Addiction, states that in certain areas of the brain, when dopamine is released, it gives one the feel of pleasure or satisfaction. These feelings of satisfaction become a desire, and these persons will grow a desire for satisfaction. To satisfy the desire, the person will repeat behaviors that cause the release of dopamine. So every time you do something that feels good, you release dopamine. And how do you relate this with social media? Well, every time you get a certain amount of likes, a certain amount of retweets, and a certain amount of shares, dopamine is released because it's boosting your confidence. So now that you see that you can become addicted to social media, let's move on to my second secondary claim, which is social media enables a public platform for cyberbullying, an action that harms users' mental health. So now that you're hooked on social media, you seek for the approval of everyone through likes, shares, and retweets. So, for an example, a study organized by Justin W. Pynchon states that 34% of his sample have been cyberbullied. And you can extend this data onto a whole classroom like us. I guarantee you that most of us at one point have felt cyberbullied. Our professor has been cyberbullied because if you read the comments and rate my professor, not all of them are going to be positive. They're going to be mean things, they're going to be critical things that don't really matter. According to the 2014 Teens and Screen study, exploring online privacy, social networking, and cyberbullying, say that 72% of cyberbullying cases target a person's image. Look at it. People may say, okay, what are you doing here? You're a effing fat ass. And people have said that to me through social media. Obviously, I don't pay that much attention to those kind of things, but I grow from it. And I don't let something like that harm me. But however, other people who are very, very susceptible to cyberbullying do feel targeted through their looks. And maybe they're too fat, they're too skinny, their forehead is huge, their nose is huge. They just feel they feel that they are being targeted for stuff that shouldn't matter. And why they feel? Because they always turn to social media to seek for approval of what's right, what's pretty, what's not pretty, what is good, what is bad. So let's go ahead and move on to my third secondary claim, which is social media consists of trends that physically hurt our users. So all of us know that trends such as the Kylie Jenner Lip Challenge, the Cinnamon Challenge, ALS Bucket Challenge, don't have that much of a purpose. Sure, the ALS did have a purpose to raise awareness to ALS, but however, other than that, all the other challenges didn't really have a purpose. A challenge is just a action that somebody does and reports it onto a social media for the common goal of being liked and getting shares and getting retweets. So let's focus on the Kylie Jenner Challenge. The Kylie Jenner Challenge consisted of trying to mimic Kylie Jenner's lips. They were luscious. For the record, she admitted that her lips were surgically changed. They were not like that. So that's just something to think about, how people were trying to achieve her lips when her lips weren't even the real thing. So what it consisted of is taking a shot glass, placing it onto your lips, sucking the oxygen out of it to apply pressure onto your lips, leaving it for 10 to 15 minutes, taking it off. What would happen is that the lips are going to be swollen and give you that plump look like Kylie Jenner. However, what this challenge actually did was harm all your blood vessels in your lips because the blood flow was not constant. What this does is a swollen lip, which can not go down from 3 to 4 days. In cases, the pressure of the shot glass was so high that the shot glass broke on their mouth and cut them. The cuts were very severe and they were very graphic. Another trend that was very famous in 2011 was planking. Planking, was just laying flat on some type of surface taking a picture. For some people that was not enough. They needed to be out there and be more dangerous. So in the case of Acton Bell, a 20-year-old Australian decided to plank on a balcony. He decided to plank on a balcony that was 7 stories high to give the thrill, and to show people that he's dangerous and he can do it. He planked from a balcony 7-story high. What happened was that he fell. He fell all the way down to his death. Which, I don't know about you, I don't think that no post, no Instagram like, no retweet is worth a like. So, in conclusion, we can say that social media has affected us in a lot of ways. We don't feel connected to people, we feel harmed by it, and it's our duty to disconnect and try to approach life in a healthier manner, where we don't have to live for likes, retweets, and shares. We can just live life being accepting of who we are and what we are. And thank you so much.
Follow me on Instagram.
Follow me on Instagram. That is hilarious.
Share my video, like it, comment it, but I don't need your approval.
Disable the comments too.
No, I able to never
I know, honestly, like when someone comments like something rude or something on page, I just leave it there. I'm like, I'm just gonna let the world see how much of a beautiful
It's like I just go on there.
Thank you. Really? I don't think for your approval. Thank you. Your face was the one that
All right, Mario. I thought that the proposition was clearly identified, although it did seem like it went on a little while and got a little complicated. There's not really a preview. Some of what you have in your proposition is kind of a preview, but it only sets up the first part of the speech, which I think is a little problematic. The second and the third points, I don't know what's coming. I mean, I can generally guess what's coming, but you're not laying it out for us, and so that needs to be something that you work on a little bit more. However, once you get to the body of the speech, you do signpost those points very clearly. They are labeled, they are stated as declaratives for the most part, so you're doing the right kind of thing there. So we're just talking about maybe a little bit of organizational work in the introduction to make sure that the audience can anticipate where you're headed as well. I thought the examples were fine. You had some statistical information that you cited. You had a couple of quotes that you cited. The examples, I think most people are familiar with some of them. You don't really cite any information or source for those particular points. That would be something that would be appropriate to do. So, for instance, when you mention Acton Bell, I'm sure that you read about that someplace. And hopefully not on his Facebook post. Well, yeah. Okay. Hopefully not on his Facebook post as he goes, I'm sorry, that was kind of mean, wasn't it? Yeah. Thank goodness. I'm glad we didn't see that. And the Kylie Jenner thing, the same sort of thing. I think most people have heard of those kinds of incidents, but it's not inappropriate to give us a source citation on it. And I know that you read about it when you're doing the work, so it ought to be in your bibliography, and you ought to be citing it in the speech. Like I said, the studies and the other quotes, I thought you did a pretty good job on. You do a nice job speaking to us and talking directly to us. I think that you set an appropriate tone for the presentation for the most part. I'm just trying to think. I had another comment I was going to make. I can't remember. I got the Kylie Jenner challenge when I was 8. Robert Lopez popped me in the mouth and gave me big fat lips, so I can remember. Apparently I was doing that well before there was any social media around. I wish I had a picture of it. I don't. It went down after a couple hours, but I remember that kid. All right.